I don't have to remind you, it is Holy Week.
The Dan York State of Mind program is brought to you in part by Lookout Rhode Island and Takeo Comfort Solutions.
41 years the Good Friday Walk has happened here, and I think it's always great when we have chances, sometimes different chances on this show depending on what the year is, to point out that Holy Week is coming. I'm not here to make any homilies, sermons, or to preach to you, but I will tell you this. I have long held the thought, taught to me in part of my faith as a failed, sinning Catholic, that there's no Easter without Good Friday. And I just think there are fewer and fewer and fewer people who don't know that. So when I was asked if I would offer some attention to the Good Friday Walk this week, I said, sure. Absolutely, not just because Mike Montecalvo, our esteemed anchor on Channel 12, emcees the event, but because it has meaning, it has a charitable aspect to it, which is important, and it brings attention to that which the day is supposed to be about. So we shall have a couple of terrific guests on to talk about that tonight. Glad to have you aboard, thank you very much, but in the meantime, let me just check on a couple of news items that are worthy of discussion, and this headline makes formal what he has been kicking around, right? Governor Bill Weld has decided that he is formally into this race, a primary race for President Trump.
America deserves better.
Former Republican Governor Bill Weld has made it official.
A better America starts here. Bill Weld for president.
The 73-year-old is challenging President Trump for the 2020 Republican nomination. Weld served as governor of Massachusetts in the 1990s and ran for vice president as a Libertarian in 2016.
All right, listen, here's a story on Bill Weld. I've known Bill Weld for a long time. When I was a broadcaster in Massachusetts, he was a regular guest on my programs. Got to know him pretty well, both on and off the air. I think very highly of him. What he did last time around with that fledgling libertarian run was well underneath his caliber. It was nonchalant. He was running for VP with the Colorado guy, and the Colorado guy was a pot smoking guy, and not that that's a problem these days, I know, but I mean, the issues weren't honed. It was, product differentiation. This is a whole different ballgame. Yeah, there's some product differentiation involved when it comes to contrasting anybody with President Trump. But we'll see over the next weeks and months, more weeks than months, whether Bill Weld is serious about this. If he's serious about this, he could make some arguments to take some kind of little piece of that base and bring it back to some, reality. Weld is a conservative, but a libertarian in a sense that he's not much on the social stuff, but he's pretty conservative and consistent on the economic stuff. If he runs like he ran for governor in Massachusetts, if he runs like he acted like governor in Massachusetts, he is incredibly formidable and should not be discounted. If he just kind of plays out the string here early, you know that it was a lark. I'm not sure which. We'll do our best to get Bill Weld in here to talk about that, both on the television and on the radio in the next couple of weeks. In the meantime, this is fascinating. Big press conference yesterday that the Attorney General had to explain a 1,697 cases that were unprosecuted that are still being figured out by his office. There was the story at the end of Attorney General Kilmartin's tenure where he said, oh, well, we've got all these cases, more than 1,000 cases that never got done because, you know what, the police departments weren't very diligent in reminding us that we had to charge them. That's my paraphrase, but that's kind of what it was. Peter Nerona, elected here in this last cycle, gets into the office, knows what Kilmartin is talking about, and says, yeah, I got to address this. and then finds as he goes that he's got near 1,700 cases that are also languishing, that don't have the proper paperwork, don't have the proper charging information, don't have the proper communication with the police departments. And he brought the Police Chiefs Association together to say, come on guys, you know, we got to figure this out, and made a presentation yesterday, both on a press conference and on the radio, that I thought was very impressive.
Cases have to go through our intake unit. And so what we discovered, what we knew about in the past was these cases where we didn't get everything that we needed to charge the case. So the packages never came in from the police departments, or the packages were not complete, and we didn't get everything in the end. Now, I view that as a joint responsibility. If it's our job to get it charged, and if we're not getting it from the police departments, we need to pick up the phone and call them and say, where is it? And that's what we're doing going forward, to make sure that we never get in another situation where, because things we don't have, we can't charge it. But that's something the chiefs and I completely agree on, that that's a two-way street. We got to communicate better. And we've put things in place to make sure that that is fixed.
Okay, so we are talking about serious cases here, felonies and the like, and I think what's really important for us to say here is that this is the kind of sausage-making information that may not blow you back, but I will tell you, if you're charged and don't know what's happening with your case, or if you're a victim and wondering where the resolution is going to be, you're really interested about this, right? Let me just lay it out for you. For 8 years, we had a hack in the Attorney General's office, in Peter Kilmartin. You know what? That's what you get. This Attorney General is a professional. He's got serious prosecutorial experience, and he went in there and cleaned it up. He doesn't say those things. His work speaks for itself. I will say those things because I've been saying them for 8+ years. There's the proof, in part. I'm sure there's more. Stay tuned. Alrighty. In the meantime, this is just tearing the guts out of most people who have faith or love history or think it's important. Here's what the network has on the latest.
Notre Dame stands damaged but defiant after a fire that raged for at least 12 hours, leaving a gaping hole in its heart. Inside, where the spire collapsed in Monday night's fire, the altar is buried in debris, but its cross is almost shining, and pews are still in place. These other rescued artifacts were taken to Paris City Hall.
Paintings, chairs, armchairs, and objects, you know, candle holders, and it was absolutely extraordinary because it's a miracle, you know, what's saved here.
Saved, the French government says, by brave firefighters who risked their lives to fight the flames. French President Emmanuel Macron hailed them as heroes and vowed to rebuild the 8th-century-old cathedral within 5 years.
There's still some features that
But architectural historian Tricia Meehan told us the time it takes to restore the Gothic cathedral depends on the extent of the damage.
If in the end the stone structure has been compromised, that's a whole other ballgame.
How long could that take to rebuild?
If they even decide to rebuild it, it would take a really long time because we're talking about a lot of hand labor.
So decades?
Yeah.
As France mourns, many people here are praying that however long it takes, Notre Dame will rise again.
It's almost hard to even comprehend how long it will take, never mind how long that building has been in place. Jerome Thompson is here. He's a special ed teacher, and Mary Hollinshead is a retired professor from URI in archaeology, not architecture. It's the arc start to the word.
Art and archaeology.
Art and archaeology, and you study medieval times, and so you must have an incredible interest in this story. You're not here for that express purpose. You're here for the Good Friday walk, guys.
Correct.
But
Correct.
As Christians, tell me what's in your heart about this.
Well, as somebody who's taught this material, you develop a kind of intimate relationship when you have to know all the details of a building and how it works, as well as having been there. So it feels very personal and very painful to me.
Jerome?
I think it's a tragedy, but it's also great to see the international community, you know, develop support around such a terrible thing that happened, and I think it's enriching to see that.
Yeah, well, yeah, this, you know, with tragedy comes a bunch of humanity, usually on the good side. I have not been to Paris. It's on my bucket list. How many times have you been?
I have a daughter who lives in Paris.
Oh, my goodness.
But I've been up between the towers. I like to climb things. And
really?
It's a magnificent building. One of the things that may help it is because it's early Gothic, it's more solidly built. Its walls are thicker, the columns are thicker, and compared to later Gothic, this is going to help it.
Yeah, I noticed that they're actually talking about. I mean, the comprehension to build these historic firewalls, literally within the building. But the notion, as the woman in the package talked about, that it could be not days, weeks, months, years, but decades to put it back together. Do you know how long it took to build the church? I haven't even.
Well, it had many phases.
Right.
So there's not any one moment in which it was completed all at once, but there is a long tradition going back to the beginning of cathedral building of citizen involvement. There are stories that are probably apocryphal about devout parishioners actually pulling the carts along with the oxen, carrying stones. I don't believe that's necessarily true, but it's a sign of the devotion and commitment to building these structures going way back to medieval times.
I wonder how tourism is going to be affected by this. You know, people now are going to tour the damaged cathedral and the progress, and who knows. I mean, even the concepts and how they're going to get started are still probably months and years away, right?
They have sophisticated engineers, and it's also true. I've visited Coventry Cathedral in England, which is a ruin. I believe this will not stay a ruin, but I do believe people will still visit Notre Dame in whatever condition it's in.
Holy Week, ironic, tragically ironic.
Yeah.
They saved the crown. That priest who went in, and who's also, part of the fire department, goes in and saves the crown.
Yeah.
Risked his life to save the crown. What does that say to you as somebody who's observing Good Friday?
I think it just speaks to the devotion that many people have to the Christian faith, and I think it's something where it shows a sign to the devotion that we, as be it Methodists, Episcopalians, whatever your denomination of Christianity, need to have towards the faith.
Yeah. Alrighty, speaking of the faith, we're going to talk about the events of Good Friday and how you can get involved and why these folks are walking. Stay with us. So the Good Friday Walk raises dough here for important causes. In fact, there are a list of causes. Let's talk about the history of it, though, rather than just creating there's Mike Montecalvo, who hosts the end of the event. 40 plus years.
41 this year. It was founded by Sister Mary Riley, who also founded Sophia Academy and Dorcas International, and is a Sister of Mercy, and she learned about it from friends in the Boston area, and I believe at first it was 10 miles. Now most people walk about 4 miles, and say one of them walks 2.5.
We're not in as good shape
Yeah,
anymore?
exactly.
Is that what this is all about?
I don't want to read too much into it. Right.
Oh, okay. How many folks participate usually?
I would say I participated last year, somewhere in the hundreds. It's something where, and I believe Mary can elaborate more, they originate from 6 different points, and we all meet at the Rhode Island State House.
Okay, so there's not one trail here.
6 stepping out points all over the city. So it ranges from St. Michael's in South Providence, St. Martin's Episcopal on the east side near Wayland Square, to Haven United Methodist on Taunton Avenue in East Providence, as well as St. Patrick's, St. Anthony's. And for those who don't want to do the full walk, there's a small gathering at the west end of Burnside Park, and together with the governor, people will walk up to the State House, less than half a mile there.
What's the concept between multiple routes? Jesus only had one.
It's solidarity with people in your neighborhood and the power of converging as you all come together at the State House. Everybody will be wearing blue bandanas, bright blue bandanas, and you see all these
Signifying
groups.
the bandanas.
The bandanas have Good Friday Walk for Hunger on it,
I see.
so that everybody can recognize each other. And I know in the past when we've done this, motorists have stopped us and said, "What are you guys about?" But there's also a great deal of power amongst those who share your values, and making a statement to the city that we care.
So what's the statement about? Is the statement about hunger? Is the statement about Christ? Is there an intersection between the two? Talk to me.
I think it's more of a statement as far as we're galvanizing as the citizens of Rhode Island towards an important cause, which is food insecurity amongst Rhode Island citizens.
Food security. So is there a less religious connotation? I mean, clearly Good Friday is the most solemn day of the Christian calendar. So the symbolism, is it borrowed or is it being used? Explain to me.
There's absolutely no question that this is carrying out the Christian principles, as in so much as you have done it to the least of me, you have done it to me, as said by Jesus. And the recipients receive their food through church-sponsored food pantries and soup kitchens for the most part. So that it is, the network of distribution is absolutely direct with no overhead through the various churches who are involved.
All right, so we'll tell you how you can get involved and talk a little bit more about the project when we come back. Stay with us. So if you apply for funds or become involved in the Good Friday Walk, here's the information. We always link our information from shows from our Fox Providence site as well, Good Friday Walk for Hunger, RI.org. You got all that? It's for just Good Friday Hunger for, what was it? Anyway, we'll put it up again before we're done. How much do you raise generally?
It varies, but close to $30,000, 25 to 30, depending upon the year and the weather.
Right,
we walk rain or shine.
Right. So you have, in order to walk, you have to pledge. You have to. Is there a minimum amount of money that you have to bring to the table in order to participate?
I'm not sure about that. I think one of the things we're trying to do is that we're trying to gain support through walkers. So it's one of the things, again, where if you meet at one of the 6 points, you can basically show your support for the cause.
Talk to me about the day and why this. Why would a hunger walk? Listen, there's plenty of charitable events that go year-round the calendar. I'm sure there's plenty of food pantry and homeless and hungry great work that's being done around the calendar too. But what is the poignancy of Good Friday?
This is a time when we remember people whose lives are stressed, and we're reminded through the passion of Jesus how difficult his life was, and it's a good time to contemplate, but also to be able to do something positive, and to bring awareness as well as active financial support to people who are really stressed in their lives, just living day to day. And it's not easy to maintain visibility for that population. By walking throughout the city, through neighborhoods of varying different economic profiles, we're able to demonstrate to the walkers and to those observing the walkers how important it is.
Current political climate and tone have an impact on this project?
Go ahead, please.
I would think that
plus or minus,
yeah,
good or bad.
I think it's one of those things whether the political climate would support something this sort of action, or if it wouldn't support this action. I think we as Christians and just citizens in general need to, participate in things such as these.
Yeah, I get a very clear sense of tribal politics and tribal behavior in America these days. And, I think it is pretty symbolic that you've got 6 different routes coming from 6 different places converging with an energy, I guess, that is the opposite of that, right?
And multiple faith traditions. I mean, we're both Protestant, but it was founded by a Catholic nun. We are working together, and throughout the year we work together in an ecumenical tradition. Actually, we have had Jewish participants so that there is a sense of affirming the importance of the need in our community.
Do you buy what I said at the top of the show, that we're less and less reflective on Good Friday, and that there's really no Easter without Good Friday? Thought?
Well, I mean, I think it's just like, I think that was an awesome point, just for the simple fact that there would be no Easter without that initial sacrifice. So for us to sort of, manifest the spirit of Good Friday through the small sacrifice of waking up early at 8:30 in the morning to do this walk to support our fellow citizens, I think is a small comparison to the greater sacrifice, which is Christ on the cross.
I mean, it's a big shopping day.
Not for us.
A lot of people have days off. But you're grounded in something that is meaningful for the day. Does it add to your Easter? By Sunday, do you feel like you've been through a process that puts you in the right place?
I would believe so. It's one of the things in my family, we celebrate Easter. It's a big celebration. And I think when you do something like the Good Friday walk, you sit down at your meal differently. You think about it a little more. You think about those people who aren't able, to have the classic meal every day, and it sort of adds to our faith.
So speaking of that, I think we've got a list. Did we already put it up? I'm not sure if we did, of the charities that are, or the sources, or the end sources. And if I had my long glasses on, I could read them all. But anybody there that specifically speaks out to you on that list, or is everybody an equal benefit?
I would point out that there are a variety of social supports. There are soup kitchens, there are food pantries, there are places like Macaulay House that is supporting of all kinds of different needs of people. And there are 4 small, tiny charities that are 1 in Haiti and 3 in Central America that Sister Mary has personally visited. And so we send a small amount to each of them. A small amount goes a very long way. So those are our only offshore examples.
All right, so logistically, how can people get involved in the walk on Friday?
They should look at the website and choose which stepping out site they would choose to go from. You do not have to belong to any of these parishes.
Let's pop that website back on real quick.
Just show up at 8:30, and there will be a group who will lead you with a banner to the State House, and there will be an event at 11 o'clock in the morning, just gathering people together, a little bit of singing, the governor will speak, and that's it. So we're hoping very much that anybody who feels that they're interested will simply find a site and put on their walking shoes and join up, and they will meet kindred souls.
All right. Well, good work. God bless. Good luck on Friday. And happy Easter, both of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You also.
All right, check out the website. And if you miss it, foxprovidence.com will link it. Final word when we come back. Stay with us. Given that the walk is 8:30 in the morning on Friday, it might be, for those of you who have the day off, it might be something to start your day off well. And whether you're headed to church or not, giving back to the community is going to make you feel a little bit more grounded. So good luck to those folks. And again, check foxprovidence.com for the link to get involved with that walk. All right? All right. A lot of conversation about immigration this week. The president suggests that he might want to just ship all sorts of folks to sanctuary cities across the country. Our guest tomorrow night will reflect on that. We'll talk to you on the radio at 3 until 6 on WPRO as well. Thanks for joining us. Good night.